Hey guys, another video for our Myths About Japan playlist. So our myth busting videos are never popular. There's always some people who really don't like the fact that we're dispelling the myths about Japan. They seem to prefer to believe them. So this one's going to be really unpopular too for the same thing. There seems to be this sort of a mystical thing that Japan has where people can make up any nonsense about Japan and a certain percentage of people will believe it, because there's sort of this mystical thing where anything can exist in Japan, no matter how weird or outrageous, you know. And that's where a lot of the myths sort of come from, is that people can believe that, and then the clickbaiters and the other attention seekers tend to play on it. In this case, what it is taking something that does exist in Japan, and usually with the myths, they take something that exists and then exaggerate it to make it sound like it's mainstream or more common than it is, or that's usually how the myths are peddled by the clickbaiters. But in this case, what they do is they take something that's about Japan and then say it's only in Japan, and that sort of seems to be capitalizing on this mystical thing that Japan has, where, you know, there's things here that exist that don't exist anywhere in the world, you know, only in Japan, and that seems to generate a lot of clicks. Now, we've made thousands of videos over the last 15 years showing all sorts of amazing things that we've seen here, and not once have we ever said anything was only in Japan, because the world is a huge and diverse place, and there's a good chance that these things exist somewhere else as well. So our thinking is, we'll just show you how amazing it is, and people, if it really is amazing, people will appreciate it and enjoy it. There's no need to say it's only here. That's to me, that's just clickbaiting. It's just trying to make this, oh, look at this amazing thing that's only in Japan, right? My thinking is the only thing that's only in Japan is Japan. Japan is only in Japan. So as a complete combination of features, I think Japan's really unique, you know, and you guys might agree with that as a combination of features, you know, Japan is really unique, and there's no other country just like Japan. So for that reason, Japan is only in Japan. But the individual features, to say that any of them is unique to Japan, is sort of obviously clickbaiting, it's obviously attention seeking, and it's obviously nonsense, and it's either done intentionally to get attention or it's just ignorance, because anybody who's traveled would recognize that most of those things that they peddle as being only in Japan are not only in Japan. So I see them all the time, because when I post our videos and our photos on social media, obviously because I'm posting Japan stuff all the time, and because my posts are all in English, other stuff about Japan in English pops up. So I get all this other nonsense pop up, all the clickbaiting, mythical nonsense, you know, and the only in Japan thing comes up all the time, which is sort of what triggered this video. So some examples. Now, it's easy to dispel these myths that these things are only in Japan just by a couple of internet searches, but probably some of you guys would know firsthand. So if you want to help us dispel these ones, this is only 4 or 5 myths out of the thousands that are out there saying that stuff's only in Japan. But if you can help us dispel just these, just as an example, because there's no doubt that a lot of you guys, because you guys are from all around the world, that you would have experienced this where you live as well. So we'll do the crime one first. That's one of the most common. You know, we've showed you lots of examples. We call them honesty tests usually, but things like, now it's winter, when we go to the convenience store, to keep the car warm, we'll just leave the car running. So get out of the car, leave it running, and go inside in the convenience store, get what we want, come back, get in the car and drive away. And the car's still there when we come out, right? And we showed you lots of stuff like that. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that cool? But again, we've never said that's only in Japan. And no doubt some of you guys watching would be able to tell us where in the world you've experienced where you could do the same thing, right? So where, because of the low crime rate, there's trust and honesty, and you can do things like that. Or the other common one, we've shown examples before, you can leave a wallet on a table in Japan to keep the table. Like we did it once in a food court. We wanted to keep the table while we went and ordered some food, so we left a wallet on the table to keep the table for us, and went away, got the food, came back, the wallet was still there, of course. But you guys would know places elsewhere in the world where you can do that as well. You know, in Australia now, probably in a big city you couldn't do that, but there'd be small towns out in the countryside you could do that. Which means that's not only in Japan, right? So it's sort of a bit insulting to the rest of the world to say something like that's only in Japan, because there's definitely places around the world where lower crime. In fact, if you do a few searches for crime rates per capita around the world, Japan isn't the lowest. There's usually a few, depending on which list you look at. Finland and Iceland are usually lower. Sometimes some other countries too have lower crime rates than Japan does. So to say it's only in Japan, obviously not true. So help us with that one. If you know somewhere in the world where there's trust and honesty and you don't have to lock your doors and you don't have to lock your car, and put it in the comments, because we'll dispel that one. The next one's the no tipping. The no tipping, we see that one all the time on social media. Oh, no tipping in Japan. Only in Japan there's no tipping. Well, that compulsory tipping thing that exists in the USA, you know, I've travelled a bit around Europe and UK, and the compulsory tipping thing, sometimes there's a service charge, but as for a compulsory tipping thing, or even being obliged to tip, and there's a lot of countries in the world where tipping's considered rude, right? Same as Japan. You know, in Japan, tipping's considered rude. I think Singapore's the same. Hong Kong, never saw tipping in Hong Kong. So, you know, and again, you guys who are watching, you guys are from all around the world. If there's no tipping where you live, put it in the comments. So anybody that doubts any of these and thinks any of these that are only in Japan, do a couple of Google searches, or have a look in the comments under the video, and you'll see these things aren't only in Japan. Heated footpaths. Heated footpaths only in Japan. I've never actually seen a heated footpath because I live in central Japan, but I believe that they have them somewhere up in Hokkaido or somewhere. But again, I really doubt it's only Japan that has heated footpaths. They just run hot water through the concrete apparently to help melt the ice in winter. But again, those of you watching from cold countries, if you've got heated footpaths where you live, cleanliness. Here's a fairly insulting one. We've showed you before people sweeping the footpaths outside their businesses and things like that, and how clean, you know, most places in Japan are. You know, the bathrooms and the public toilets and train stations and things. We also showed you the dirtiness too sometimes that does exist, but cleanliness, you know, that's a big one. And again, they say, look how clean Japan is, only in Japan. Here's some people cleaning up outside their shop, only in Japan. And that's not true, is it? That's not true. I've travelled in Europe. There's some beautifully clean places in Europe. So you guys, you know, if you know anywhere else in the world that's clean, I mean, that's a fairly, you know, some of these, when they post that stuff, they must know it's not true. They must know it's just clickbait and it's just to get attention, and it's not true. To say that only Japan has people that clean, you know, that do the voluntary cleaning outside their businesses or outside their schools or outside their shops, or, you know, out in the street, or just the fact that cleanliness, only in Japan. It's not true, is it? Not true. Give us some examples of that. The one that triggered this video, I kept seeing this only in Japan. Oh, again, the only in Japan. And I don't really look at them. I sort of just, you can see from the clickbait thumbnail and the top and the title, you can see what the whole story really. You don't have to, you know, don't have to click on it and go see their stuff. Never click clickbait, guys. It encourages them. So I never click the clickbait, but you can sort of see from the image, you know, there's another one, there's another one. The one that triggered this video this week, rickshaws. Rickshaws, only in Japan. Right. Really? Really? Rickshaws only in Japan. Yeah, anyone who's travelled in Asia knows rickshaws are not only in Japan. Don't know what language rickshaw actually comes from, but it's not Japanese. So rickshaws only in Japan. So it's sort of, it's one or the other. It's either intentional clickbait BS, or it's ignorance when people say these things are only in Japan, right? So yeah, don't click on them, don't encourage them. So yeah, the only in Japan, yeah, it's mythical. It's mythical, it's not only in Japan. The only thing that is only in Japan is Japan. So I would encourage you guys, anytime you see a video or a post of some description with only in Japan written on it, don't click on it, don't encourage them. They don't need encouragement, those clickbaiters and attention seekers. They get more than enough. It works. That's why they do it. That's why they do it. It works. You know, they know that there's people around the world that Japan is this mystical place and it has all these things here that are only in Japan and not anywhere else. Well, they're not really. There's thousands of these and they're not true. So anyway, this video is going to be really unpopular. People hate stuff like this. Some people appreciate the cutting through the BS and getting to the reality of the situation. Some people appreciate that. There's a lot of people who hate it. They really do. They much prefer to believe the mystical image of Japan. We think it's the most amazing place. Of all the places in the world that we could live, this is where we choose to live. We had big discussions about this before our kids were born. Where do we want to live? You know, and we thought about living in Australia and we thought about living here. You know, we got other options too. We could live other places as well. But when we look at the big picture, where do we want to raise our kids and where do we want to live? We want to live here. You know, and I have no intention of leaving here. I intend to live here as long as I possibly can and never leave, you know, until I shuffle off this mortal coil, because it's the most amazing place. For me, it depends on the people. Some people don't prefer it, you know, would prefer to live somewhere else. But for me, I think it's the most amazing place. But we've got to look at the reality of what it is. You know, it's better to see the reality of what it is and enjoy the reality of what it is than to believe these mythical nonsense that people peddle. You know, that's not real. It's not real. All that stuff, if you haven't seen the Myths About Japan playlist yet, check it out. All that stuff, it's just nonsense, and a lot of it's exaggerated nonsense. You know, there's no need for that. The place is, the reality of the place is amazing. And we've got thousands of videos to illustrate that. Thousands of videos that we've made showing you all the amazing things that are here. That combination, I think that's what's unique. You know, Japan is only in Japan because it's that combination of amazing things all in one place that make it amazing. But to claim that any of those individual things is only in Japan is just, it's either ignorant or it's intentionally trying to mislead people and BS people to get a few clicks, which is sort of, you know, the lowest form of life. Anyway, that's more than enough of that. So yeah, next time you see a only in Japan heading on something, title on something, don't click it. More videos coming soon.